So I think I can get everyone started. So if you don't know how this works, essentially, if you look to the bottom of your little bar on Zoom, you should be able to like stick your hand up, right? And if you have a question you want to ask me, if you can stick your hand up, I can just go through all the queries in a row. And this session is just to cover everything that was covered in week 1, which was essentially Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So if anyone has any questions, they can put like the little emoji hand up, and then we'll work our way through it.
That is not hands up. That is thumbs up.
Okay.
Should I redo that? Everybody else has done it. Yes, I can. I can hear.
Did anyone stick their hand up? I can't see anything, but if they have, I can go.
You can have the video in the.
No.
Okay, Giovanna, can I answer your question?
Okay, so last week, our teacher told us that in the introduction, you introduce the problem and the character and the character's desire.
Mhm.
So, what is an example of that? Because I didn't get that part.
An example of the character's desire, do you mean, or?
No, how could you involve that into the introduction?
Oh, well, if, for example, you were writing a story, this is what I covered in my class, right? There was a man and he was a builder. His name was Bob, and he really wanted to build a house. So you could like set up the scenario like Bob was walking in his office building and got told by his boss, "Hey, Bob, you got to build this building." And then like something like that, just like sort of introducing that could be one way to say his desire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Hey.
Ryan, can I answer your question?
I just have a question for last week English question 3. Identify and discuss any symbolism within the text. I don't get that part.
Is that with like this week's homework?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't cover that this week, but I'll be able to answer your question.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll cover it next week, but for this week's in class, we'll just be covering.
Last week English question 3. Identify and discuss any symbolism within the text. I don't get that part.
Okay.
Is that with like this week's homework?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't cover that this week, but I'll be able to your question. Okay. Yeah, I'll cover it next week, but for this week's in class, we'll just be covering. Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Give me 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I think the YouTube live was having some issues. So in terms of the writing topic for this week, you should have gotten your parents to join the WhatsApp group chat. And
Yep.
They sent a picture to that WhatsApp group chat with
Yeah.
some risks are worth taking. Or worth taking. I don't know if you can see what I'm saying. Oh, I don't know, it might be too bright, but essentially there's a sheet and then there's like a little goldfish and it's jumping out of the goldfish bowl and it says some risks are worth it. So yeah, that's the topic for this week.
So the topic was Jenny gave us the topic. She turned her can'ts into cans and her dreams into plans.
Yeah, so if your tutor gave you a topic, then do that one. But if your tutor didn't give you a topic, then it's the one that's in the WhatsApp group chat. Some writs are worth it.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Arav, can I answer your question?
My tutor gave me a different topic, so should I do? But I did the fish one, so should I do the other topic as well, or should I
No,
just?
if your tutor gave you one, but you did the fish one instead, then that's okay. The tutor will just mark that one. Should be
Okay.
fine. As long as you do some form of homework.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, your name is like S97084007. I'm sorry.
Yep, that's true.
But can I get you to ask your question? I'll ask you down here, maybe. Yeah.
I cannot hear a thing you guys are saying.
You can't hear anything?
Can you?
I can't do it. That might be an audio issue on your side.
Yeah, it may be an audio.
No, wait. She'll just.
Okay. In the meantime, Ishan, can I answer your question?
What is the thing that some risks are worth it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean by it?
That's like the prompt that you're meant to write your story on. Like you're going to write a narrative, but inspired by that picture. Like you know how in the GATE exam they give you a picture with words sometimes incorporated into it? Just like that. Imagine this is what you got in GATE. We want to see what you're going to, based on what you in class, what you'll come up with.
And I also have some doubts on the number. It's on the homework booklet.
Yeah. We'll be going through this week's homework in the next Zoom. Essentially, each Zoom class is at the end of the week to cover the previous week's content that was covered during the lesson. So you can ask those questions after you've gone into class and then maybe in the Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Devansh, can I answer your question?
Can you go up a bit, like so we can write notes? Can you go back to the mountain thing?
To the mountain thing? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Pradeepam, can I answer your question?
Yes. Are we going to do abstract? Are we going to do quantitative reasoning, or is it only
I was mainly trying to stick to writing because that's what I covered in my class. But if you mean like these questions, we can probably jump into them if you'd like.
I was just asking.
No, okay. No worries. Okay. Ishan, do you have another question?
Do I have any questions about it? Do you have any questions?
No? Okay. Oh, good. I'll just, yeah. Wait for some more questions.
Can you join the? Can you see the slide?
Can you please scroll up?
Can you join the
Scroll up. Sorry. Yes.
I joined the Friday.
live class?
Friday.
Live classes.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can I join the live classes?
What
The
do you mean?
online classes.
On Friday?
Yeah.
Yes. I think that was mentioned in the WhatsApp group chat.
Okay.
And yeah.
Online class or just?
Yeah, so for the entirety of term 4 and term 1 of next year, there's an online version of the in-person class. Access is free of charge to all students. So yeah,
Okay.
it'll be on YouTube at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it this term?
Yes, this term and next term.
Okay.
Both the classes.
person, no, in the class.
Yeah, that's the same.
Ishan, did you have another question?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have both. No, I'm having both classes. So one on one on online and one in the actual thing.
Yeah,
So
you can.
online.
The Friday one is like optional. If you want, you can join free of charge, and it's like an additional lesson. And then this one is sort of a revision.
I joined on Wednesday.
You go in person on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can go in person on Wednesday, and if you want, you can join the Friday one, and if you want, you can come to the Sunday one too.
Okay.
I'm just
Excuse
gonna
me.
to this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
What's the Friday class?
the Friday class is exactly like what happens in an in-person class. So you get taught it like directly, whereas this class is just to go over anything that was missed. So like if anything that you was covered in class and you didn't fully understand it, or you just want to check it again, whereas the Friday class is like the full proper class, so you'd go into depth of all these concepts and things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it online?
Yeah, it's a YouTube live, so I think you can join, like just go to the Loyola Tutoring YouTube, and then at that time there will be a live you can just join, I think.
Oh, okay.
Is it just on Fridays or is there any other days?
Just on Friday from 4 to 6, but it's also recorded so you can see it,
Another
like,
day.
yeah, anytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I'll answer a few more queries about the online classes just to clarify with everyone. So first thing is, before I answer a few of those questions, is could I make sure that everyone, especially those students who are new to the Zoom classes, there's a few rules that we have in the Zoom class. The first one is make sure you're always muted on the Zoom class. Unless you're asked a question, please make sure you're muted. And once we ask you a question, you can unmute yourself and answer it. The reason being is if you're unmuted, there's a lot of background noise, and it's just very disturbing for the class, and therefore we know we can't have a continuous session. The next thing is with your camera.
I didn't ask a question.
Sorry. Again,
I didn't ask a question.
Austin, make sure you're muted because we can hear you. So please make sure you're muted until we ask you a question to answer, okay? The next thing is with your cameras. As I mentioned, as Nasani mentioned earlier, we do record these classes so you can watch it later on YouTube. So if you're not comfortable with your videos, or if your parents are not comfortable with your videos being on it, you can keep your videos off. There's no need for you to have your cameras on. So if you'd like to keep it on, and if your parents are happy with it, you can leave it on, but you don't have to keep them on, okay? All right, so answering the questions about the online classes, there's a few things. So we have an online class on Tuesdays from 4 to 6, and that's for our year 8 students. So we have a year 8 gate class. Now, the year 8 gate class is very similar to the year 5, except there'll be extension questions. So we'll be having more questions. There'll be certain concepts that'll be slightly harder that'll be focusing on. So you can technically join the Tuesday class if you wish to do so, but it is for year 8s. We do prefer you to join our Friday class, which is year 5 class. Now, both of these online classes, they're available to all of our students, especially all of our students, and it's available free of charge to all of our in-person students. Now, I would reserve these online classes mostly if you have missed a week's class. So let's just say you've gone on holidays, or you have been sick and you couldn't go to classes. Come into the online class, but for most of the other sessions, you just come to your normal face-to-face class, and then you would also come on the Zoom class. So the Tuesday and the Friday classes are basically the exact same as our normal face-to-face classes. The Sunday Zoom class, which Nisani takes, this is a Q&A session. So from 5 to 6 p.m., we won't be learning anything new. So from 5 to 6, all the GATE students who are doing the GATE program can ask Nisani questions about whatever we learned in the previous week. So for example, this week we went through narrative structure, and I heard someone ask a question about how do I include the problem and the character's desire. That's a very good question. So obviously your teacher might have gone through that in class, but you're still a bit confused. So the Zoom class is an opportunity for you to ask those questions again. Do you guys understand? And then from 6 to 7, we will have our year 6 students. They can come in and it will be their Zoom session. Do you guys all understand the difference? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, Melvin.
Yes.
Go on Friday for the year 5. What time is it? What time is like a online one?
4 to 6. 4 to 6.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right. Nisani, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so Savati, can I answer your question?
It was already answered.
Okay, no worries. All good. Austin, can I answer your question?
Can I join Friday Zoom meetings?
Yeah, you can. It'll just they're not on Zoom, I think
No.
YouTube Live, I'm pretty sure.
No,
Okay.
so they are on Zoom. We would post it
Okay.
on YouTube, but again, Austin, mostly what I would recommend is if you do come to our face-to-face classes, I would just recommend you continuing to come to our face-to-face classes, and you can still watch the online class on YouTube. But I
Yeah.
would prefer to keep the Friday and the Tuesday classes for students who haven't been to any physical classes that week. So
Okay.
if you're either sick or if you're away on holidays, then you can use that opportunity. But if you already come to the physical classes, you can still watch the class later on YouTube, but I would prefer to keep the Zoom classes only for students who haven't been to the class. Do you understand?
Okay. Yeah, but do you have recordings of the classes?
Yes, yeah. So for example, I can, in the chat right now, I can send to Nisani, and Nisani, if you'd like to share with the class, I'll send you guys a link to last week's class. So for example, a few weeks down the line, you would like to go back and learn more about what we did in week 1 of the term, you can watch the recording of the class. So let me open up the link. All right.
Wait, Melvin,
Yeah.
to join the Friday classes, so is it the same code as this class? Like, the Zoom code?
That's right. So nothing changes. So the code will always stay the same for every single class, Zoom and normal online class. All right. Now, before we, so I've just sent it to Nisani. Nisani has sent the link to the previous week's class to all of you. What I would recommend is, could we keep all the questions towards the end of the lesson so that we can get most important things done, and some of these questions we can answer them later. Sounds good? So I'll be online till 6 o'clock today as well, and then I have to go somewhere after. But at the end, if Nisani doesn't know the answer to some of these questions, I can help answer some of them as well. Sounds fair? Yep. Awesome. All right.
Cool. All right. So, Harshini, can I answer your question? Oh, can you please unmute yourself first? Oh, dear. I don't think I can still hear you. Could you maybe check if your microphone is working?
Nisani,
Yeah.
can you move the page to where the narrative structure is?
This one?
Yeah, this one. Yeah, thanks.
No worries. Okay. Sorry, Harshini, I still can't hear what you're saying. If you could maybe check your audio settings, and I'll come back to you. Yeah, Shalene, can I answer your question? No? Okay.
What time is the Tuesday class?
Melvin, do you know what time the Tuesday class is?
Which the Tuesday year 8 class, is that what you're asking for? Yep,
Yeah.
that's from 4 to 6 as well.
Okay. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Is the Tuesday class on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay.
Using the same details as this
And
week.
does it have the same code?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is briefly go through all the main three, so the narrative structure, the marking key, and the 3 rules of creativity, and then we'll jump back to questions. All right, so with narrative structure, there are 5 main stages. We have the orientation, where we introduce the characters and their desires, as well as the setting. Then we move on to the rising action, where we have an increase in tension, and this is done via problems and conflict. And then where we have the peak of tension is the climax, and that's where the problem is at its worst point, but the solution could present itself, right? And then we have the falling action. So if we follow like the direction of the mountain, we should be going down. Something that I've noticed a lot of students like to do is they just like to ramp it up, making it more and more crazy and interesting as it goes, but it's important to bring it back down the mountain, right? So to ensure that we get a good narrative structure. So next we have the falling action, where we apply solutions and things begin to be getting solved. And then finally we have the resolution, where we can resolve any conflicts or problems, as well as ensure that the impact of the story is fully enforced. So that could be a moral or message to ensure like it's fully in there properly. Yeah, okay. And then in terms of the Loyola marking key, there are 3 main sections. We have creativity, structure, and English conventions. Creativity, that's got the majority of the marks with like 60% of it. And that involves topic implementation, morals and messages, and realism. Those are each 10 marks. And topic implementation is related to the image and words that you're given. If you don't mention anything related to it at all, you get 0 to no marks. And then if you look at that image and write about what's exactly in the image and the words literally, then you'll get approximately average marks. And then if you take that image and take it to the next level via metaphor, then you'll get higher marks. I'll pass it on to Melvin to elaborate further.
All right. So basically exactly what Nisani was saying, just to kind of like explain to you guys why we're doing this, right? You know, when I was in school as well, I remember teachers usually teaching a bunch of things and I was like, oh, why are we learning this? So I'll explain why some of these concepts are there, why we have marking keys like this, etc., etc. So has any one of you, I'm sure some of my classes have shown this to you guys, but your parents, have they signed up for the parent presentation yet? There'll be a information session that's happening soon, I think in about 2 months' time or a month's time, but I can quickly share screen and show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. And in this parent presentation, basically the Department of Education is explaining all the important things that, you know, your parents need to know about the exam. So if we scroll all the way down, we get to writing. And in this writing section, as you can see, they clearly talk about what they look for in your writing. Now, sorry, before I continue, could I ask Joanna to be muted? And anyone else who's unmuted, please make sure you're muted. Thank you. Awesome. So writing. So they, unlike the other sections, for example, in reading comprehension here, right? Our maths later on, in writing, they've clearly see in here, there's nothing underlined. But in...
Sorry, Melvin, to interrupt, but I don't think we can see your screen.
Oh, oops. Okay. You can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can.
What I will
You
do-
can.
I can.
You have
What
to
I-
press another button. I can't really see your screen.
It's okay. What I will do is, Nisani, would you be able to give me host privileges?
I started already.
So, Verthi, please make sure you're muted. Thank you. Good.
Thank you, host now.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Nisani. All right. I'm going to share my screen really quickly now. Can you guys see this now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So, as I was saying, they clearly underlined the most important aspect of writing is your creativity. And sorry, one second. Let me turn off Bluetooth. Okay. They've clearly said that the most important aspect of your writing is your creativity and that it must be an original piece of writing, right? So, yeah. So what that means is that the writing you do, wait, Nisani, could you say something? Just let me just double check I can hear you guys.
Yeah. Hi.
Perfect. Okay, so your story must be creative and original. Now, does anyone have an idea of how many students do the GATE exam?
6,000.
Yeah, around 6,000 students. Let's see if we can find it somewhere here in this presentation. Nope, nothing that I can see here. But
How do you get to the presentation?
all you have to do is search up GATE parent presentation. But there's about 6,000 kids who do the GATE exam. And imagine this. Imagine if all 6,000 students have the exact same topic. You will all write about the same story. So that is why Nisani has taught you guys to make sure that you don't write about the literal image, and why we care so much, because they're asking for creativity. And if everyone's writing the same topic, we need to somehow figure out a way to make sure that we don't, write the same story as everyone else. So you ask yourself, what could the image represent? So for example, cycle. One cool thing about cycle is I read a quote a long time ago in the Steve Jobs book. But basically, when Steve Jobs was inventing the Apple computer for the first time, he said that he also read an article when he was younger about the different animals on Earth and how efficient they are at traveling 100 kilometers, or 1 kilometer. And in this list, the most efficient animal was the condor. And one of the most least efficient animals of traveling 1 kilometer was a human. But then one of the researchers in this study, what they decided to do was to see how efficient the humans would be in a bicycle. And the human on a bicycle completely destroyed all other animals. And Steve Jobs got inspired by this because it represented how humans' skill is not in our bodies, but inside our brain. The fact that we can create things. And he said that the Apple computer was essentially a bicycle for our mind. It helps us do so many things that we couldn't otherwise do. So looking at this bicycle, maybe I could write a story, something along those lines based off Steve Jobs did. Because how many people would look at this image and write about that? I don't think many people will do. Or another thing I could talk about is I remember seeing somewhere that the bicycle won the Person of the Year award. I think it was a New York Times, Times Person of the Year award, because a bicycle was used by humans to do so many amazing things. For example, in World War II, delivering messages, protecting people. It helped people travel with very low cost, things like that. So maybe I'll talk about the bicycle like that. Or another thing I could talk about that a lot of students have told me is they could talk about how, the spinning of a bicycle could represent the cycle of life, ups and downs, things happen again and again and again. Do you guys kind of understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Also now back to Nisani.
Yes.
There you go.
Melvin, before you go, can you please send that link? The
Yep.
one that you just had for the parent information.
Yep, I can send that to you guys now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Back to you, Nisani. Oh, sorry, I think you're muted, Nisani. Sorry, we couldn't hear anything.
Sorry. Yes. All right. Is it working now?
Perfect.
Okay, great. So hopefully you all have the link. After topic implementation, so taking it to the next level, we also have the morals and messages. So another way to make yourself different is to incorporate a moral or message such as don't give up, persevere. There are lots of different morals and messages. Show kindness regardless of how others treat you, right? There's a lot of different morals and messages that I'm sure you all know and apply to your real lives. And it would be great if you could incorporate that into your stories as well, to provide them like a true meaning and impact, because that would truly impress the markers. And we also have realism. So that links sort of to our 3 rules of creativity, but essentially it's much harder to write a very realistic story compared to an unrealistic story. And so we always want to demonstrate to the markers that we are capable of doing the very best. So in terms of that, if you can write a story that is realistic, you'll generally do better than if you do one that's unrealistic, because it shows that you put thought and effort into ensuring that the storyline and the narrative structure works cohesively. All right. And next we have the structure. So that involves the layout as well as the narrative structure. So layout is just paragraphing. So I know that in the GATE exam and when we're doing our mocks, it can be stressful under the time pressure, but it's always important to maintain your layout with your paragraphs to ensure that it can help both the marker when they read it to see the different stages of your story, as well as when you're writing it, you can also do the different parts of your story. Like you can see, oh, I've covered introductions and orientation in the first paragraph. So my next one could be the rising action, then climax, right? It will help you maintain your structure throughout. And then sentence variation can change the impact of your words, as well as provide variety so it's not too monotonous for your marker. Okay. And then in terms of narrative structure, it's just what's above in the mountain, right? And then we have English conventions. So, oh my goodness. Unfortunately, it seems I can't move my page, but in terms of English conventions, we have punctuation, grammar, spelling, and vocabulary. Hopefully, at the stages you're at, you can spell the words that you're using correctly, as well as using correct punctuation, grammar, and vocab. All right. Then, in terms of the 3 rules of creativity, oh damn, I'm not sure why, but it refuses to let me move my screen. Give me 1 second, please. Sorry. Okay, maybe if I stop sharing. Okay. I think this should work now. Okay, so in terms of the 3 rules of creativity, we have 1, please don't write about the literal image, as Melvin elaborated on. Try to find a metaphor, symbolism that can take it to the next level and differentiate you from all the rest of the people doing GATE. 2, the story must be feasible. So that means it should be plausible, probable, or likely. So the actions that are taken make sense and follow like an order and aren't just like using magic to make things magically happen for convenience, because that's a bit like lazy writing, and the markers are quite experienced and will be able to identify that. So by making it feasible, it demonstrates your capabilities in being able to create a good storyline that makes sense and isn't all over the place. And then last, pardon?
What does slurry mean in the second one that you've written?
Second. Oh, sorry. I think the T line is just, it's story.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought it was slurry.
No, no worries. I'll fix that.
Because while I was taking notes, I thought it was slurry.
Yeah. No, it's story. Yeah. And yeah, so try to incorporate a message and moral throughout. And as you're doing practice writings throughout this term, and perhaps maybe next term as well during your practice mock exams, you'll become better at incorporating a message / moral throughout it. Okay. And then I think that's most of what we're meant to cover. I might quickly go through any questions we have relating to the narrative structure and things. So maybe I'll just ask you to unmute the S97. Yeah.
This is not really about this,
Mm-hmm.
but you know the booklet that you gave me?
Yeah.
You have a homework. I don't really understand it that much. Like what I gotta do.
Oh, so for homework
Like for the part that
For homework this week, you'll just be expected to do the reading and abstract reasoning questions that are in the first section. So like the first reading section and the first abstract reasoning section, if you can get those done before next week, like your next week class, that would be great.
yeah, but then 6, 7, and 8, I don't really understand, especially 6. Because when it says what pictures next, it doesn't really make sense to me.
That's all right. You'll be able to go through that with your tutor in the class next week.
Okay.
Cool. Harshini, can I answer your question? Sorry, I still don't think your audio is working, but maybe if you could message me a question, I can answer it. Okay, cool. I'll move on to Austin while we wait. Austin, can I answer your question?
Would you be able to tell me the information about GATE and how many schools are there and the score they need?
I think that will be covered in a later meeting with the parents. I think we have a GATE masterclass and other things.
Oh,
that
okay.
will cover that. No, yeah.
Okay.
Giovanna, can I answer your question?
Oh, sorry. My question is,
Mhm.
how could you make your climax more interesting? Like, how could you make yours at the peak point without when the reader thinks there's no other resolution that like quickly jumps to mind, but there actually is one?
Sorry, could you repeat that again? I think it got a bit crackly at the start.
How can you make your climax interesting?
Oh, how to make your climax interesting. One way to do that is to include lots of actions. Maybe emotions could be heightened, right? They could be angry, distressed, anxious, excited. You know, your characters could be going through a lot. There could be things happening externally, right? And another way you could do it like structurally is by using short sentences with lots of action words, and maybe you could use like onomatopoeia, so like sort of like crashing noises or something if something was physically going wrong, right? So yeah, just playing into, I saw using like the 5 senses, I guess maybe could also yeah, increase the tension in that point. Does that help? Cool. All right. I'm going to scroll down to this for Harshini. If she wants to take a screenshot of that, perhaps. Hannon, can I answer your question?
I still can't see a screen.
You still can't see my screen? That may be because if you go to like view options at the top, if you like bring your mouse to the top, there's like a little gray box called view options.
Yeah.
And maybe you will be able to, can you click anything that says Nasani?
Yeah, I did it, but it says that you have started screen sharing, but it's still loading and it never showed it.
Oh, okay. Maybe just if you can leave the Zoom and then come back and I'll let you back in. Maybe
Okay.
that's, yeah, sorry. Okay. Aim, can I answer your question?
In the actual gate test, do we have to do our planning within the 25 minutes?
Yeah, I don't think you get an additional planning time. Arav, can I answer your question?
How much words max do you have to write for creative writing, and how much words minimum do you have to write?
There isn't generally a word limit. It's more like you covered the concepts of like each of these sections of the narrative structure. So if you've done that adequately so that the story makes sense from a marker's perspective, as well as you do have a time limit. So the maximum would just be like how fast you can write and fit in that time. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
No worries. Ishan, can I answer your question?
Start talking.
Oh, maybe I'll mute one of you and then I'll get the first Ishan. Sorry, there's two. So the one who isn't muted, can you ask your question?
Oh, actually, for the you know the math thing we did like close to the end of our lesson.
Was it this one?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I need
Yeah.
help with question 3.
Question 3. Yeah, I think I can go through question 3. Okay. So if I can I erase this up? Yeah. Okay. So Alonso's bowl of chicken biryani was at 50 degrees Celsius as soon as it leaves the stove. He wants it to cool down to 35 degrees Celsius. Cooling goes at a steady rate. Given it takes 10 minutes to cool down to 45, how much longer should Alonso wait before serving his guests? All right, so unfortunately, I don't have the whole document, but I can go through the working for this. So, okay. So we know that it's originally at, let me write that down. Here. It's originally at 50. Can you see?
Is it just me or is someone drawing on the
No, I'm
thing?
drawing it because I'm drawing
Okay,
how
yeah.
it's working. Yeah. Okay, let me just make that a bit bigger. Okay. Okay, so if we're at 50, and we want to go to 35, right? So that difference is 15 degrees Celsius, right? And we know that it takes to go from 50 to 45, it takes 10 minutes, and that's only 5 degrees. So if we know that 5 degrees takes 10 minutes, if we want 15 degrees, that would just be like from 5 to 15, it's times 3. So it would just be times 3 of 10, which is 30. So we'd say it would take like 30 minutes to cool down from 50 to 35.
Where does it
Wait.
say it takes
No,
5
it says it takes 10 minutes to cool down 45 degrees. So
Yeah.
So that means 2 minutes for 9 degrees.
Yeah.
9
No,
degrees?
it means when it goes down to 45, it doesn't mean literal 45.
Yeah, so from 50 to 45, that takes 10 minutes and it's 5 degrees. So if it's already cooled down to 45 and we need to get down to 35.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get it now. Yeah,
10 minutes,
I get it.
Or I don't have like the answer options, but if you're going from 50 to 35, the answer would be.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
45
Can you please
to 30.
continue explaining it? Because I did not get what you said.
Okay, so if okay, so I'll quickly go through this again. So essentially, we want to know how long it takes to cool from 50 degrees to 35 degrees. And the difference between 50 degrees and 35 degrees is 15 degrees, right? So we need to know how long it will need to cool down 15 degrees, right? And then we were told that if it cools down from 50 to 45, right? So that's 5 degrees, it takes 10 minutes. And since we know our initial difference that we need, so 50 to 35 is 15 degrees, that means that we just need 3 times the amount of time that it would need for 5 degrees, because 15 times 3 of 5. Does that make sense? It's sort of like a ratio thing. Like this is times 3, and this is a times 3.
I do not get how you got 5 to 10. That's the part that's always confusing me.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so it says given it takes 10 minutes to cool down to 45 degrees. So
Yes.
it went from 50 to 45, and that's a different 5 degrees, and they said it takes 10 minutes. So like
Okay, yeah.
sort of like my ratio. I don't think the arrows are, maybe let me,
Are questions like this going to be in the gate?
yes, this is like a little practice sort of. These concepts could be, yeah. Okay, does this make sense to everyone?
Is it going to be harder or the same? Like same level?
It varies. You'll see as you work through our booklets.
I also have another question.
I'm just going to quickly go through question 7 because that was the one that Harshini asked for, and then I'll come back to your question if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so, oh my goodness. Okay, so I did this. Oh, great. Okay, that's fine. I will just erase this. So we have Edna and Anne. They weighed themselves on a scale in science class. Edna is 75 and Anne weighs 87. How much would it show on the scale if they both got on at the same time, given that the scale underestimates the weight by 25%? So first we'd find out what their combined weight is. So we have 87 plus 75. Can anyone tell me what that is?
162.
162.
162.
162.
Yeah, 162, right? And then we know that the scale underestimates the weight by 25%. So that means they'll only show 75% of the weight. So that's basically saying 0.75 times 162, right? But we don't actually have to do the maths, right? Because if we look at our answer options, we know that our answer will be less than 162, right? And that means it cancels all these 3 options, which means that the only valid option we'd have is D, because it's the only one that's less than 162, because we know the scale underestimates the weight, hence it's 121.5. You don't have to do the complicated math. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm assuming it's a yes. All right, so.
For question 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a typo.
Yeah, is that a typo?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, I'll assume it's a yes. Oh, what are you saying is the typo?
Question 8.
Yes,
Yeah.
but specifically what?
Because it says the triangle has a perimeter of 25, but my tutor said it was supposed to be 20.
Oh, let's just quickly do the math. Okay, so third side is 5 centimeters.
Which weeks is this?
Pardon?
Which weeks are we doing? Because
This was given as a separate worksheet in class.
because we didn't receive this one.
Yeah, I think if you went through the narrative structure quickly, then this was like an additional optional thing. Yeah. Okay. So if 2 of its sides equal 1/3 sides. So essentially, if we wrote this as like a equation, this could be 25 equals 3x plus 5. that means 20 equals. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, maybe there is a typo. If you make it, I think, yes, I'll assume there's a typo because it doesn't really work with the answers that they've given. Yeah. So maybe if you change the order to 20, that would work. Yeah. Okay. Devanj, can I answer your question?
Can you like for the narrative? Can you connect two together? Like, can you connect writing action and climax together? If you want to like save time.
Sorry, can I connect what and what together?
Writing action and climax.
The writing and the climax.
Writing action and the climax.
Oh, writing action and the climax, like in the same paragraph, or sort of like merging the two concepts together.
Paragraph.
Yeah, I mean you could, but preferably you could separate them, just because sometimes some people make like they feel like they've written a lot of writing action, but it turns out it's like only one sentence and quickly it jumps to the climax. So perhaps maybe writing it in separate paragraphs will make sure that it's sort of evenly distributed, sort of, and make sure that it's like not too much focus on too much. But if you're running out of time, I mean, this is the start, so hopefully you're not running out of time. But if you are running out of time, then yes.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. The S97, can I answer your question?
How much time are we given for the actual like narrative exam in the actual gate?
I think like less than 30 minutes. I think it's around 25 minutes to 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's
25
Okay.
minutes. Yeah.
Thanks.
No worries. Giovanna, can I answer your question?
Okay. You know the links that Melvin sent in the chat?
Yes.
How could I get to them and how could I open them after I leave this meeting?
Oh, you'll probably have to copy them onto like a browser now and either like add them to your favorites or just like just keep them in the browser. So like just put them in Chrome. Does that work for you?
No. I'll ask my dad.
Just copy the links onto somewhere. Yeah.
I'll try.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I'll ask the second Ishan. I'll ask to unmute. Yeah.
Can you get the another printout for the narrative structure, the mountain one?
What do you mean by another printout?
I mean, take a photo and then you can print the mountain narrative structure.
For your notes or like?
For my notes.
Yeah, I think you can take a screenshot of this if you'd like, but also I think you can find, if you search up narrative structure on Google, they have structures like this that have information on them. So yeah, either take a screenshot of this or a picture or search it up. That would be your best way to do it.
So do we have to do the window that what you told me to do, or some risks are worth it?
If your tutor told the whole class to do one topic, do what the tutor told you. If your tutor didn't tell you a topic, then do the one that's the goldfish one. Yeah. So since your tutor gave you a topic, just do that one.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No worries. Okay. Harshini, can I answer your question? Okay. What's the topic? The topic is, I think some risks are worth it. It's like some risks are worth it. And it's like a picture of a goldfish jumping out of a bowl. Yeah. Harshini, can I answer your question? I don't think your audio is working, sorry, so I can't really hear what you're saying. But if you message it, then maybe you can get through it. But while we're waiting, Vitri, can I answer your question, Vitri? Okay, let's. Okay.
One page left. What enough?
Yes.
Use other for page left. What is? What's here?
Okay, no, I'm gonna need that. That was a bit not okay. 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 So, question 7. We'll go back to question 7 for Harshini. Harshini, can you say which bit of question 7 you didn't get? And Vetri, can you please message me your question? While I'm waiting, Rathia, can I answer your question? No? Okay. All right, so Harshini asked where I got the 75% from when I was doing my calculations. So essentially it says that the scale underestimates the weight by 25%, right? So if you, if you have like a thing, like a line, right? And then this is what their true weight is, and then this is their weight together, weight. And then the scale will say this number, right? Because it underestimates it by 25%, right? Sorry, my handwriting is very bad with this pen. So we would just need to find 75% of what their combined weight is, right? Because that would be like excluding the 25% that is excluded by the scale.
Is it time?
Yes, I will have to end this now. Hopefully you understand. If you don't have and you still have any questions, please ask your tutor in class. And thank you for coming.
See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Ravi.
Bye.
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 These questions.
Bye.
Yeah, you did.
Bye,
Bye.
Nibble.